Hey everybody, this is Michael Mignona, and I have not done a video or a podcast in such a long time. So much has been going on. I'm not going to get into all of that, and instead I'm just going to jump right into what it is I wanted to share with you on this podcast, on this video today. And it goes like this. So part of my day usually includes listening to some of the phone calls, some of the leads that my clients get from the ads and marketing that I run for them. And I do this for many reasons. For one, I do it to make sure I'm bringing them high quality leads. And if I can listen to those phone calls, I can get a sense of what types of people are coming in from those ads. I can tell if they're actually looking for the products and services my clients sell and offer. But also, and this is a really important part of what I do, I can also monitor how well or how not so well my clients are doing at fielding these leads. How well do they answer the phone? What are they saying to these people that are calling, that are looking for their services? Are they doing whatever they can to increase the likelihood that they get hired? Or are they actually doing things that make people not want to hire them? And so this podcast today, the impetus for it was that for whatever reason, I just came across several phone calls that I listened to today from a couple different clients that were just really bad. The way that the leads were fielded was completely sabotaging the likelihood that those people were going to hire my clients to do what they do. So I want to give you one example, and I'll tell it to you like a story basically, and you'll be able to imagine how it went. So one of my roofing clients, they have an amazing business. They do a ton of work. They have amazing reviews. And this is not the norm for them, okay? So by no means are they doing it wrong the majority of the time. The majority of the time they're doing it right. But you gotta do it right all the time, okay? And this today was not a mistake. It was more just like carelessness, and I can get into why people who are tasked with answering the phones at a company, like secretaries and administrative assistants, and that initial person that answers the phone, it's easy for them to get fatigued, jaded. Maybe they just got off the phone with 3 different people who were upset about something or whatever, and so when they pick up the phone, they're not necessarily, in the greatest mood in the world. Anyway, we can talk about that on another episode, like reasons for those sorts of occurrences. But what I want to talk about is specifically what happened on this call, because there's a lot to learn from it. So anyway, the phone rings, obviously, and the first mistake, the first thing done wrong was the greeting, okay? When my client's administrative assistant picked up the phone, she said, and I'm going to refer to this roofing company as roofing company. That's going to be their brand name for the purposes of this podcast and video, because I don't want to share who it is. But so she picks up the phone and she answers like this: roofing company. She sounded like the Ghostbusters lady. She was like, Ghostbusters, and basically what the inflection in her voice communicated to the person on the other line, whether she realized it or not, was, like, I don't feel like doing this right now. It was like 2:10 p.m. a day or two ago, and she had it. You knew, like, if I was calling and that's the way they answered, I think to myself, oh man, I'm about to talk to someone that just is over it completely right now, and that's not a good first impression of a company. That does not make you all nice and warm and fuzzy inside. And especially with roofing companies, but with tons of different companies, it's probably not the only company this guy was calling to talk about the fact that he might need a new roof, or whatever it is he was going to talk about, and we'll get into that. So it's really important that that first impression, that greeting when you pick up the phone is like awesome, is just really friendly, and you don't have to be fake about it. You just have to be a nice person. So instead, when the phone rang, she should have picked up and said something like, "Hey, thank you for calling Roofing Company. This is so-and-so speaking. How can I help you today?" That's it. That's it. What a nice way to start a conversation, right? Now, the person on the other end, when they hear that type of greeting, let's talk about two possibilities. Number one, they could be calling because they are a new lead and they're looking to hire you. And so getting that greeting is great, because that'll increase the likelihood that they'll consider your company right for the job, okay? Everything counts. But think about this. What if they were a current client who's calling because maybe they're a little bit unhappy about something, okay? Now, if you're calling and you're already a little bit upset, the last thing you need is to be greeted by someone who's just as pissed off as you are, you know? Instead, you should be greeted by someone who can kind of diffuse the situation by being really sweet, really welcoming, and who you know, and who you understand through the way that they're communicating that they care about you and that they want to make right whatever is wrong, right? So there are no good reasons for ever picking up the phone like, hello, or Ghostbusters, or Roofing Company. You know, it's just never what you want to do, unless, of course, you're auditioning to be the Ghostbusters lady. Then that would have been the perfect way to do it, I think. So anyway, the person that was calling, whose recording I listened to, was calling because they saw their ad on Google, and so they called the roofing company, and they were greeted with "Roofing Company," and then the guy says, "Yes, I'm looking to have my roof repaired. How does this work?" You know. So what can you learn from "I'm looking to have my roof repaired. How does this work?" You know, you kind of have to. You don't want to read into things too much, because then you can jump to some conclusions that are just wrong. But essentially, what this guy is calling and telling you is, my goal is to make my roof good, and I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know how any of this works, right? So as a roofing company, or as any company whose expertise is whatever it is that you do, you are the experts. And the people on the other line are not the experts. They don't know how any of this works. So you have to remember that these people don't know what you know. This guy that called and said, "I need my roof repaired. I think I need my roof repaired." He thinks he needs his roof repaired. Now here's where the call went south, or further south. The roofing company administrative assistant said, her response immediately was, "We don't repair roofs. We only do full installations." So the implication behind that statement is that this guy knows he needs a repair, and that he actually does need a repair, and he does not need a new roof replacement, a full roof replacement. But the fact of the matter is, this guy calling, he has no idea what he needs or doesn't need. Okay, it's likely that he does not know, and he didn't, because his response was, "Well, oh, okay, I don't know if I need it repaired or replaced." And then the administrative assistant said, "Well, is there a leak?" And like, that was the inflection. "Is there a leak?" You know, like she was pissed, like she was annoyed. And the guy says, "No, there's no leak. It's just old." Now, if you know anything about roof repair, which you probably don't because you're not a roof repair expert, but if it's old, you might need a replacement. If it's really old, you know, you might actually need it replaced, a full replacement. And if it's really old, and if there have been storms recently, and there's hail dents in the shingles, and maybe there's hail dents on the siding and the downspouts and the gutters, Well, you could probably get that all replaced per your homeowner's policy, and it's only like $1,000 out of pocket, and insurance pays for all of it. And this roofing company happens to specialize in insurance repair work. So when I heard on the phone that the administrative assistant was basically doing everything she could to get this guy off the phone and to disqualify him as a potential customer, my head almost exploded, because I was like, you're losing them, you're losing them, you're losing them. And this is money we're talking about. This is like, for that lead, it probably costs like around $40 or $50 for that phone call, okay? Which is not a lot of money in the roofing world, okay? That's a pretty good price to pay for a lead, especially for a highly qualified lead, which this guy was. So $50 it costs to get the phone to ring. You better make some money off of that guy by helping him. And before you just go disqualifying people, you've got to make sure there's just no way you can make money and there's no way you can help them. So here's what they should have done. The administrative assistant should have said this. This is how she should have handled it. First of all, she should have answered the phone thusly. Hey, thank you for calling roofing company. This is so-and-so speaking. How can I help you today? And the guy would have said, I'm calling because I think I need my roof repaired. How does that work? And then she should have said, all right, sir, well, let me start by just jotting down your name. What's your first name? First name is Joe. Last name is Smith. Cool, okay. And what is your phone number in case we get disconnected? Now, this is a great way to get someone's phone number and to have a good excuse to get their phone number. You can jot this down, you can put it in your CRM or in your files somewhere so that you know this guy's phone number. You have a name and a phone number now. Now you can shoot for the email address, right? You can say, okay, awesome. And can you give me an email address as well so that I can send you your estimate when it's ready? Or something like that, right? A good excuse to get an email address. Get that email address, make sure you jot it down properly. So now you've got a name, a phone number, and an email address, and then you can write a couple notes about what this guy's calling about. He mentioned repair so far. Jot down the word repair. All right, sir, awesome. Now that I've got that basic information, let's talk about what's going on with your roof, okay? And then he'll respond, and so he thinks he needs a repair. So he'll say, again, maybe he'll expound a little bit on what it is he's looking to have to accomplish. And your goal as the person fielding this lead is not to jump to conclusions, but it's to listen to not what this person thinks they need, but what this person wants to accomplish, okay? This guy thinks he needs a roof repair. That may or may not be true. But what he definitely wants to accomplish is he wants a good roof. That's what he wants. Sometimes to get a good roof, you can take the roof you already have and repair it. And if this roofing company doesn't do that, then okay, that's fine. But a lot of times, when someone thinks they need a roof repair, what they really need is they need their roof replaced. And if you're a roofing company that doesn't just do roofing, but also does siding and windows and gutters and downspouts, if someone gives you the green light to come look at their roof, even if they just think it's a little repair, go. Because when you get there, you can look at their whole house, and you can talk to them and make friends with them and look at everything that's going on, and they might actually need other stuff done, okay? So he says, let's talk about what it is you're looking to accomplish as far as your roof. And the guy would say, something like, well, I think I need my roof repaired. And then her follow-up question might be, okay, well, why do you think you need your roof repaired? Is there a leak or something? Or do you see any damage? Like, what's going on? And he might say something like, actually, so what he said on the call was, well, actually, I don't see any leaks. There aren't any leaks. I don't see any damage necessarily. I can't see any damage because I'm not trained to see it. And then what she should have said, well, all right, well, it sounds like, so then he actually said, but I know my roof is really old, okay? So it looks like he was trying to proactively address the fact that his roof is old to avoid any sort of, leaks in the future or things happening in the future that he wouldn't want to happen. So that should be a big green flag, or whatever color flag you want to imagine, for the administrative assistant fielding this lead. And she should think to herself, man, all right, this guy, this is someone that cares about their roof and wants to make sure it's good, right? So, what she should have said was, all right, listen, here's what we're going to do. I'd like to send someone out to meet you in person and who can look at your roof and inspect it and examine it and talk to you about what your options are in terms of making sure that you have a safe, beautiful, sturdy roof for years and years to come. Because that's what the guy wants, okay? That's all he wants. And as a roofing company, that's what you do, right? So, like, get someone there, because the guy that gets to meet him in person is the guy that wins the job, okay? And what she should have done before hanging up the phone was schedule an appointment, get it on the books, and send him a calendar invite so that he remembers when the appointment is, and done. Boom. Sale will probably be made, okay? So that's number one. That was an example of a roofing company doing it wrong today, who had every chance in this call to just do it right, and it just didn't happen. But I don't think it'll happen like that anymore, because after hearing that call, I immediately called the owner of the company, and I told him what was going on, and I said, listen, there are a lot of reasons that people who that she may have been less helpful than normal. Answering phones all day and fielding calls is a really stressful job. Maybe she had just gotten off the phone with 2 or 3 unhappy customers, or customers who were just a little crabby, and maybe they were in bad moods and it kind of rubbed off. But you got to just take a deep breath, decompress, and answer every single call as if it's someone that is potentially going to pay you a lot of money to help them. That's how you have to assume. That's how you have to approach every single phone call. So I want to give you one other example of a call that I listened to today from a totally different company, totally different industry, and this was from one of the fabric and custom upholstery stores that I do work for. And so here's how that call went. The phone rang, obviously, and the call was picked up by the guy that, by one of the people that picks up at this company, and he says, fabric store, this is so-and-so speaking, how can I help you today? He actually answered the phone fairly well. It was, fabric store, this is so-and-so speaking, how can I help you today? It wasn't the most friendly thing in the world, but the script was nice, it was short and sweet. How can I help you? Boom, great. Now the person on the other line said, hi, I found you on Google. So this was another Google lead from an ad. I found you on Google, and I see that you guys do outdoor coverings, and I want to get an estimate for that project. Now, just by the terminology and the way that she tried to communicate what it is she was looking for, should have hinted to the person who answered the phone that this person is not just looking to purchase a commodity, but that this person is looking for expert consulting on what it is that would help her accomplish her ultimate goal. And so the goal of the person answering the call is not to try to figure out what products she's looking to purchase, what commodity she's looking to purchase, but to figure out the goal that she's looking to accomplish. And it just so happens that the goal she was looking to accomplish was she had just built this outdoor kitchen in her backyard at her home/apartment or wherever she lived, or townhouse or wherever. So she must have built this outdoor space, so an outdoor like granite countertop and maybe a sink area, probably a fridge area, and a 2-burner thing so she can like cook outside and grill or whatever. And she was looking for something to cover it, to protect it from the elements. And she wanted to make sure that the thing covering it was outdoor fabric. So what ended up happening was this. The person who answered the phone didn't fully register with that person. And then he said, oh, okay, well, let me transfer you to an interior designer who can help you out, right? So he transfers the call, and this is a mistake that companies make so often. They transfer calls, and they don't tell the person they're transferring the call to what the person who called had just said. So they have to repeat themselves. So it's like the phone was never answered, and nothing that they said means anything because it didn't make it to the second person that it was transferred to. And that is so annoying. Oh my God, like you call and you spend 2 minutes explaining to the person you're on the phone with what it is you want. And then they go, well, hold on a second, let me transfer you. And then they transfer you, and the person picks up, hello? And you're like, hi, and they're like, how can I help you? And you're like, are you serious? Like, I just explained exactly how you could help me. Your guy just didn't tell you what I said, and now I have to repeat it, and I don't know what I'm talking about, and I'm frustrated, and now I just want to call 3 other people because you guys suck at making me feel like I'm going to get my thing accomplished. So what you should do, if you have someone picking up and fielding calls and then delegating those calls out or expediting them out to other people or sending them over to salespeople or designers or whatever, it should be protocol that you say, do you mind, can I put you on a brief hold and put you in contact with my associate who can help you with exactly what it is you're looking to accomplish? And they'll say yes, and you say, please hold, and then you put them on hold and you call Joe Schmo at his desk and you say, hey, Joe Schmo, I've got Sandy Greenbaum on the phone. She wants to cover her outdoors kitchen area with some outdoor fabric to protect it. I don't really know what she's talking about necessarily, but maybe you can jump on and help her out. And then Joe Schmo would be like, yes, I can definitely do that. Send her through. And so the front desk guy sends Sandy Greenbaum through to Joe Schmo, and Joe Schmo should pick up and say, hey, Sandy Greenbaum, this is Joe Schmo. I heard that you are looking to protect your outdoor kitchen area with some outdoor fabric, and you'd like some help figuring out exactly how to get that done so that everything outdoors is protected, so that it looks beautiful, and so that the fabric can withstand the elements and the environment and the weather. And you could bet your life that if that's how it happened, Sandy Greenbaum would have subconsciously thought, man, these guys have got their shit together. Like, that was awesome. I feel confident that they are going to hold my hand and get me through this, and that the final product is going to be awesome because, man, like, this experience on the phone has already made me feel like they're going to make this good, right? But that's not at all what happened. Let me tell you what did happen. It was actually hilarious. I wish I could share with you the actual call recording, but I don't think it's ethical to do that because it really could have just been like from a movie. It was like a who's on first kind of moment. Like, no one knew what the hell was going on. No one could understand anybody. There was so much conclusion jumping that it was like 2 people hitting a tennis ball against a wall, and it just nothing was getting through. That was a horrible metaphor, but you know what I'm talking about. So she gets so Sandy Greenbaum, that's not a real name by the way, gets transferred to this woman named let's call her Schmoozy, okay? And Schmoozy picks up and says hello, and Sandy Greenbaum says, hi, I'm looking for some help covering my outdoor kitchen. And Schmoozy says, covering your outdoor kitchen? What? Like, that was her answer. And she was like, is it a seating area? No, it's not a seating area. Well, it should be a seating area. Well, it's not a seating area. It's not that. You guys do custom upholstery. Like, it was just horrible. I don't want to go into too much detail about the call because rather than talk about what the call actually was, I already addressed how it should have went. The takeaway here is, and for both of these calls that I mentioned on this podcast / video that I'm making, is this: when someone calls your business, or when someone reaches out to your business for help, they are looking for someone to be a consultant for them. They're looking for someone who can answer the questions that they don't know the answers to. And even more, they're looking for someone who knows what questions they should ask that they don't even know that they should ask, okay? Because they know so little about what it is they're trying, what it is that actually has to be done. But they know everything in terms of what the end goal should be. And that's what you, or anyone who's fielding leads or doing sales, needs to realize, that the potential customer is looking to accomplish a goal. And your job is to identify exactly what that goal is, and then to help advise them and to work with them on exactly the strategy to make that happen. You know? And that's why they're calling you. Otherwise, they'd go to the store and they'd buy the thing themselves. Or they would call you and they would know exactly what it is that they need, and they would tell you. And if you got someone that was very knowledgeable about whatever it is they needed done, you would know that. But 99 times out of 100, it's people that don't really know what it is that they need, but they know what it is they want to accomplish. So identifying that is important. Your initial greeting is super important. Just make it friendly. Make it friendly, mention your business name, say who you are, let them know that you want to help them. That's it. Then make sure you get their name, get their phone number, and the good excuse for that is, in case we get disconnected, get their email address, and a good excuse for that is so that you can send them their estimate over email, or if whatever, we come up with something good. By the way, collecting their name and email is important if you do get them as a customer, because then you can send them a request for a review using some review software. We can talk about that. I've talked about it in other videos and podcasts. But anyway, fielding leads is a huge part of the equation. Getting leads is important. That's what a marketing company specializes in. The other piece of the puzzle that we help companies with is actually turning those leads into customers. Oftentimes it's not just getting leads that companies have problems with. It's turning those leads into customers. And it's usually just because no one's trained in sales and no one's trained in, I waited tables for almost a decade. I worked in the restaurant industry, and before, I was always a nice person. I was always friendly and polite. I was overly shy and scared to talk to people that I didn't know. So that was an issue. The restaurant industry solved that. But it also taught me just how to, even under a lot of stress, how to walk up to people and make that initial greeting really, really friendly and welcoming. And the same has to happen if you work in a restaurant and if you answer phones for a living and field leads and are a secretary, administrative assistant, or something like that. Your job is extremely, extremely important. You are the gatekeeper, and you're also potentially the gatekeeper for a bunch of money too. Meaning you could keep people from getting to the owner, and you could also keep money from getting to the owner if you do a bad job. So it's really important to make that initial greeting really good. With the things that you say, make and reassure the people that you are communicating with on the phone that you are going to help them and that you are the company to accomplish whatever their goals are, period. Worst case scenario is you schedule an appointment or you send your salesperson out to meet them, and it doesn't end up becoming a client that ends up hiring you, because maybe it's just you're not the right people for the job. But I can guarantee you that if you encounter 10 people who don't end up hiring you for whatever reason, as long as you are really helpful and honest and valuable to them from an informational standpoint, they will refer business to you. They will remember you, and this all helps. Everything helps. So just be good. Don't be an asshole. Work hard to make people know that you want them to accomplish their goals. I think I'm repeating myself at this point, and I'm rambling, so I'm going to cut it off. And I hope this video was really valuable to you, or at least somewhat valuable to you. If you own a business, run a business, and you've got some administrative assistants or salespeople or secretaries or whatever that you want to show this to, show it to them. Because, and you know, you don't have to say, listen, you know, you've been answering the phone like an asshole. Why don't you watch what Mike thinks about that? Like, it could just be, hey, I thought this video might be interesting or whatever. So share it with whoever you want, obviously, and I hope it helps. Or just remember what this video says and try to communicate it to your staff in one way or another. Anyway, this was the Scrappy Wins podcast, also doing this as a video. If you want to subscribe to my podcast, just go to wherever you listen to your podcasts. It'll be there. Scrappy Wins is what the podcast is called. I think you can find the podcast on scrappywins.mignona.com. I just transitioned over to Buzz something, I forgot the name of it, to host my podcast and syndicate it wherever podcasts live. So I think it's scrappywins.mignona.com. If not, whatever, you'll find it on iTunes, and I'll have it right the next time. But anyway, I'm Michael Mignona. I run a company called mignona.com, marketing, advertising, also some sales consulting like this. And, you know, if you need me, reach out. Lots of ways to do it. You pick the one you like. See you next time.